everyone, and welcome to Momentum TV, a program dedicated to helping us all navigate the beautiful and sometimes complicated paths of our lives. For those of you who have been on the JWRP Momentum trips to Israel, well, you'll recognize some of us. But for those of you who've never met us, well, my panelists are the women you all want to have coffee with, because I know I certainly do. Well, you can, right here on Momentum TV. Let me introduce you to today's co-hosts. From Toronto, my old hometown, former Canadian national television star, who is now a much-sought-after teacher and motivational speaker, Adrienne Gold. From Philly, educator and international motivational speaker, Neely Cousins. And from Jacksonville, Florida, a Harvard-educated community builder, Andrea Mail. I'm Lori Palatnik, writer, speaker, wife, mother, and now, your coffee date. Between all of us, we have many years of parenting experience, motivational experience, and marriage. So grab a cup and let's get started. Today's question, ladies, we're going to be talking today, a question somebody sent in. I am addicted to People and Star magazine and celebrity gossip. What's so bad about reading it? If I don't believe it's all true, what's so bad about it?
What are those magazines?
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. I don't know. Do you ever see anyone buying those magazines?
No. I see people buying People, but no, something
Yes.
like the National Enquirer. Apparently, it has got the highest circulation than any publication in the world, and I've never once seen anybody put it on their groceries on their line. They must sneak out in the middle of the night to buy it.
Where are you shopping?
How is People one step up? Is it like more
It does have
reliable?
it has human interest stories in it. It's also
that
sort
the
of a
difference?
semi-news magazine. It was the first of its genre before the bar not only got lower, it got
I
instantly.
thought you never heard of these magazines.
I was kidding. Of course I've heard of them.
She was in them.
What's the draw? What's the draw? And what's so wrong with it?
I think that it's pretty clear what the draw is.
What's the draw?
What do you think?
I have to tell you, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I have to break
But?
the news to all of you and to all of you out there.
What's that?
Brad Pitt never thinks about you. Not for a moment. Does he call? Does he write? And yet,
Not lately.
we are obsessed with him, his marriage, what he puts in his garbage, his haircut, his facial hair. What is going on there?
I think it's fairly psychologically basic. I mean, what do you think? Why do you feel that people need to
part of
attach
it's
themselves?
escapism. Part of it is enjoying getting out of our mundane lives and seeing something that seems more glamorous. Part of it also, when we see things, not necessarily good things happening to these famous people, that schadenfreude, which is when you almost get a little bit of pleasure, and it makes you feel good that their lives aren't perfect, that they are having, children have issues or they're getting divorced. But now that raising daughters, it's not necessarily a good message for...
Are these good role models?
I'm not sure that the interest is so sinister. Like, I love seeing the bloopers on a movie also. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of peeking behind the curtain. You always see them looking perfect and playing this or that role. And then you see them, I don't know, in the supermarket. There's nothing sinister. They didn't do anything wrong, but I don't know why anyone cares that, they went to the supermarket, but nonetheless, that's what's selling the magazine. So I'm not sure if it's so sinister. Why are you looking at me like
No, I'm just listening, Neely.
But what kind of role models, when you think of these are people that are paid, to act.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet they are worshipped as if they are icons. It's very...
And they ask their political views? And
cares?
because if you're being paid to pretend to be somebody, then obviously your opinion must affect world politics. And
So I think it really does go to low self-esteem, that a person whose identity is established by how other people see them are going to look at people who everyone sees and assume that their life is better than theirs. And so they attach themselves, even vicariously, to that other person's life so that they can feel that they are interesting, by extension. And it's tragic because many of those people, and you'll notice, as they become less and less famous, attach themselves to a cause so that people see them as having more depth than just an actor, just a model. And it becomes ubiquitous, where they pick some kind of, Sean Penn did it first. Remember, he went to Iraq many, many years ago, Madonna.
But maybe it's coming from, let's not be so not nice to them. Maybe they really do want to use their celebrity status to do good in the world.
Right.
It's a vehicle.
That may well be true, and I know it's important to judge favorably, but it seems to me that there is a direct relationship between the waning of a person's star and their involvement in things that are worldly.
I never noticed that. I think that's so interesting.
Take a look.
Maybe they just have more time.
Maybe.
No one's hiring me, so I might as well.
And maybe even if their motivation for getting involved with the cause, you would hope, like Lori's saying, that somehow by getting out of their, narcissistic world of celebrity and Hollywood, that they may be making a difference.
Well, you might be right, except that most of the time it's not an appropriate shift. I mean, I'm not really interested in an actor's view of what's happening in the Middle East. Frankly, I'm not.
No, nor am I.
I mean, I'm really not. I want to hear what somebody who's educated thinks about it. But we're more inclined to listen to what Penelope Cruz and Javier or
Whatever.
Why?
No, but we're all sitting around a dinner table, and I ask you, what do you think about what's going on in the Middle East? Who are you to say? But I am interested in what your opinion is. Just they're people too. Why can't they have opinions?
They can have opinions, but we should not bow down to them like sacred cows because they're actors. And the problem is that people are incapable of separating a person's public image from their private image. And for someone like me, who was in the media for so many years and heard the most ridiculous nonsense about myself, none of which was true, I am telling you now, enjoy those magazines, but know they're fantasies. They're not real.
But can we circle back to the question?
I was thinking that too.
Circle back to the question at hand. So is there any, we all know that it's a Jewish concept not to gossip, okay? Right. So what's wrong with talking about Brad and Angelina's marriage? You know what? It's a slippery slope from talking about their marriage, because and their publicist is paid to get them into these magazines. Right. So we'll talk about their marriage, but it's a slippery slope from talking about their marriage to talking about your neighbor's marriage. We're going to talk more about this when we get back, but now we're going to go to a inspiring moment.
Perfect.
In today's society, gossip is not just what you hear around the water cooler at the office. It's really almost the foundation of our life. Every magazine, every newspaper.
It's Tom's MI3 Tokyo Invasion and battle for millions of newlywed dollars.
Do you enjoy gossip?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely?
It depends on the gossip.
Do you enjoy a good gossip? Absolutely, I do.
Why? What's the gossip?
Sure. Sure. What do you enjoy about it?
Curiosity.
It's interesting. I mean, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not.
I love gossip.
You love gossip? What do you love about it?
It's gossip.
Yeah.
It's hearsay. And then I can gossip to my friends about it. I like making stories out of gossip and creating more gossip.
I gossip about everybody all day.
Really?
Yeah. My co-workers and everybody.
Who else?
Mom.
People feel that for some reason we're entitled to know details about people's lives, and the connection that we have with each other is based on that.
It felt really awful, and I was really upset, and I cried.
Sad.
Sad?
Yeah.
Right.
Angry.
Angry?
Yeah.
Disappointing, frustrating.
Terrible.
Angry, uncomfortable, resentful.
It wasn't fun.
Terrible.
It's horrible.
People would talk about who was doing what with somebody or something. A lot of times it wasn't true at all, and it'd be hurtful, especially if you'd find out that one of your friends was doing it.
The Torah teaches us that every time we gossip about someone, it's triple murder. 3 people die every time we speak. Who dies? The person you're speaking about. That person has gone down in the eyes of everyone listening. Who else is being killed? The speaker, in the eyes of the listener. Because if you're known as the person who always has the dirt and the lowdown on everyone, and they don't call it dirt and lowdown for nothing, are you the type of person that people are going to come to and entrust their life with? Who else is being killed? The listener. Listening to gossip is worse than speaking it. Because unless you were listening, there wouldn't be gossip. Gossip is like a fired gun. Once you pull that trigger, someone's going to get hurt. So think before you speak. Welcome back to Momentum TV. I'm here with my co-panelists, Andrea Mail, Adrian Gold, and Neely Cousins, and we're talking about gossip. We're not gossiping, we're talking about gossip. So can I throw out a question? Yeah. Who gossips more, men or women?
100% women.
Women.
I would guess women, but the question makes me think maybe it's men.
You know what? Oh, if you ask the question, then maybe the answer is tricky. I believe I believe women gossip more. We'll talk about why. But I think men do gossip, but they never call it gossip.
No.
They call it networking.
Yes, of course.
Shooting the breeze. Women actually say, I got gossip, you want to gossip, all right? But I think women, why do women gossip more?
Because we talk more.
Ah, very good. According to the studies, women speak many more words in a day than a man. And we're going to count, okay, like every word, okay? It actually says the Talmud teaches us that when the world was created, that 10 portions of speech came into the world, women took 9. Okay. And the rest of the world, bow, wow, wow, meow, 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 moo, 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 and men divided up the last.
And Lori may have taken all of them.
Okay, wait, but I want to clarify that I think that gets misunderstood a lot. So it doesn't say 9/10 of speech in the English sense of speech. It says 9/10 of dibur.
Right.
So in the Hebrew language, there are different words for speech.
Right.
So dibur is a specific type. Every time God speaks to Moses, it says Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe. So it's a type of intellectual speech that defines what things are that women were given 9/10 of. There's other speech that's meant to talk about frivolous speech, and it's a different word. So when women have 9/10 of speech, it means there's a real power to connective speech that women were given more than men.
Speech. We are connectors. We are relationship beings.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should actually right now break down what gossip is
very good.
what it isn't. Because some people will say things
important.
like, I would say it to her face.
Yeah, but it's true. But it's true. Everybody knows it.
Everyone knows.
Yeah,
right.
So what is gossip? Okay, so the Jewish definition of gossip is any form of communication that reflects negatively on someone unless there's a positive, constructive purpose.
Okay, and who gets to decide whether it's a positive and constructive purpose? And how do you make that positive and constructive purpose without causing pain in the process?
Listen, you have to stop. There's a difference between my coming home and telling my husband, the rabbi, do you hear the so-and-so situation, or like they're having trouble in their marriage, and he's doing this, and she's doing this, that. Or I come home and say, honey, the so-and-sos are having trouble in their marriage. I think if you speak to them, you can make a difference. Right. Do you hear the difference? Yeah. One, I'm just doing it for my own and not coming from a good place. Okay. The second is I'm trying to help someone. When you're trying to help someone, it's not gossip. One way to check yourself is, am I getting any pleasure sharing this? If you're getting a certain pleasure, I'm trying to help someone, so I'm allowed, then maybe you should think once, twice, and 3 times.
Yeah. There's a reluctance to share it when you should. You know, it's like, it's not like you if someone needs help in their marriage, it's not just that you're allowed to speak about it. You have to.
You have a responsibility. You're trying to help.
It's not nice to not help your friend. You need to help them. But it's also, how many people are you getting to help them? You have to choose the person, like, who would help them the most.
This doesn't give you a license to do a Gallup poll amongst your friends.
Yeah.
What do you think? You go to the one and only person who can make a difference.
Yes. And you try to leave it anonymous when you can.
And you say only what's necessary. Right. This doesn't give you license to say every
What's your experience been with this?
And I think the point of intention is key. You know, when you're speaking about people wanting to make someone, to help them, make them feel better, coming from a good place. And we all know that feeling when you're saying something and inside, you know you're either getting in a dig or you may be saying something hurtful. And the main thing I think is, you know, when you think of Rabbi Hillel, do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you, would you want people speaking about you that way? So if not, don't say it.
I think that telling your kids when you have this funny feeling inside, and ourselves too, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. Well, that's the message. Right. Maybe you shouldn't. You can always say it later, but once you say it, just try to take it back.
On the other hand, Lori, sometimes that message, that anxiety, can be the message that you should be saying it, but you're afraid of what the fallout will be because of it. So maybe when you feel that anxiety, instead of saying this is, you know, across the board not the right thing to say, maybe this is a signal that I need to find somebody to help me say it in a way that won't cause pain. Because
it could be. I wish it was that way. But I think most of the time when we kind of have a feeling we shouldn't, and we go, no, it can't be like, and then we say it. Yeah. I think, listen, you can always say it later.
I had something just recently where I was sharing with my girls something I noticed other children doing, and I felt uncomfortable because I know, in a way, it was being critical of others, but I was using it as an example for my children to think about how they are, perceived and how they should behave. Sure. And decided, I don't have to use the names of the children. I can describe the scenario without it being...
Very good.
So I think it was okay. And the girls, of course, were like, but tell us who, Mommy. We won't say. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I really can't.
And that is the best model. When you say, I can't share the names, or even if you start saying something and then the voice in your head goes, you really shouldn't be saying this. If you stop mid-sentence and you say, you know what, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said this, just forget it. Even though it might feel like a socially awkward moment, what you're showing the people you're speaking to is you're not a gossiper. And it gives them permission to not gossip, and it also gives them permission to trust you because you've proven I don't want to be that person.
Speaking of stopping in mid-sentence, I'm going to have to stop us right now, and we're going to go out for a moment in the street.
Hello, everybody. It's me. It's Joelle Norwood with Momentum TV. And today we're talking to
Ellie Bass from Toronto, and I went on the JWRP trip in November.
So, Ellie, what do you think about gossip and reading magazines? Do you think that's okay when it's out there?
So, I heard a comedian say something really great once. He called People magazine McDonald's of the soul. So, I really think that it matters not just what you put in your mouth. You know, we're so focused on that in terms of fitness and health that we think about what we eat, but it's also important what comes out of our mouth, how we communicate with people, the sentiments behind them, and the thoughts that are with them. So I think it's really important that we concentrate and be conscious of what's going in and what's coming out.
So as you've been going on your Jewish journey, what have you done? Have you adjusted to that kind of thing?
I think it's something that, like a fitness regimen, you got to work every day at it. Some days you have good days, sometimes not so good, but you try your best to try to find how to make it like brushing your teeth, how to make a good habit rather than something, it's a nice idea, but it's not really something I do. So how do I integrate that into becoming an action rather than just something that I would read on a piece of paper?
Okay. Thank you. I'm throwing it back to the studio. It's Joelle Norwood with Momentum TV talking about gossip. Back to you in the studio. Bye-bye. Bye.
Welcome back to Momentum TV. We're here for last thoughts about gossip. Andrea.
Just thinking about the question and about the People magazine and Star magazine, one of the decisions I made when having daughters, particularly because they were girls, was not to have magazines in the house. I thought it was something, the images, the messages weren't positive, they weren't necessary. So sure, every now and then in a grocery store line, I'll take a peek and see what's going on, but I realized our life is healthier without being so invested in what celebrities are doing.
Okay, great. Adrian.
So just based on what we've been talking about, I think that in the end, if you use your language to give pleasure and recognize that there will be times that it is not the time to speak, particularly since we know that sometimes it's a mitzvah not to speak if you won't be heard, but to just really concentrate on your gift of language, the thing that separates you from the animal kingdom, to be something that gives pleasure and never pain. And I think that's, usually the test.
Okay, beautiful. Neely.
I think that the excuse people usually give for gossiping is like, but it's true. So it's important to notice that it's only called technically by Judaism, it's only called gossip if it's true. If it's not true, it's not called gossip, it's called lying. That's something else entirely. And the reason why it's so bad to say true things that are negative about a person is because you are focusing on something real. If it wasn't true, you could just say, oh, it's not true. Once it's true, we're focusing on the negative.
There's a Kabbalistic idea that when you're born, God assigns you a certain amount of words. And once you use them up, it's all over. So no one spends an evening gossiping with their friends and walks away feeling uplifted. We all have a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth. All right, let's use our words carefully. Your words were beautiful. Thank you for sharing them. And thank you for being on Momentum TV. We'll see you again.